One of the very first women was, her husband died. She came to Wilmington because that's where she was from, but she didn't really have any place to go then. And these two men saw her and they said, you know, it's not good for you to be out here in an evening like this down in this area. We know about ladies up on 8th Street that take in people and they don't charge. The two men brought her up, and it was near 10 o'clock at night, and it was the day before Christmas Eve. And she was very skeptical coming in, and we knew she had a good background. We got some lady in Hocassin that needed somebody to watch the children. She took it. She became very close to them. And then she later worked for a doctor, and she made out well. When she was very ill at the end, she left a few $1,000s to the ministry. At that time, Hope House 1 needed a new roof. We thought, well, we gave her a roof, and then she gave a lot of people a roof.
Brother Ronald actually came to Wilmington as a young friar to do retreat work. And when he arrived, you know, young guy just took his vow of obedience. You do what you're told. But he said to the superior of his house, I don't really think I'm cut out for retreat work. I want to work with the poor. And so Father Camillo said, go ahead.
I had a cancellation of an appointment, and the secretary receptionist called back and said, we have a Brother Ronald who would like to see you. There he was in his habit, no socks, sandals, and his beard, nice smile. So he said, do you handle real estate transactions? And he told me he had just come to Wilmington and he looked all around for some way to help the community best. And he said, I found out after some searching that there was no shelter for homeless women. So he said, that's what I would like to do. I signed this contract to buy a house. That's what I would like to get closed. I looked at it. I said, it's for $5,000, Father, 1103 West 8th Street. And the settlement's going to be very soon. And do you have the $5,000? No. Where are you going to get it? Well, the Blessed Mother will provide it. So I said, well, brother, we have other obstacles too. It's in a single-family residential zone, and you plan to have more than one family there? Oh, sure. I said, brother, you just can't do it under the law. That it's the wrong thing in the wrong place, and it'll take some time to straighten that out. He said, where do we go to straighten it out? And I said, okay, I'll walk you down to Walnut Street there in the licenses and inspection department. I introduced brother to the licenses director. And I guess it was an hour and a half or 2 hours later, we walked out of that building and we had all the permits we needed. That was the first miracle, and it's been miracle after miracle since then with Brother Ronald. That was 1977.
When he was trying to get money for the first shelter, someone said to him, well, why are you putting in beds? And they thought he should use cots. And he said, well, would you like to sleep on a cot? Just because they're poor, does that mean they should sleep on a cot? That was the first illustration of his philosophy, don't treat the poor poorly.
Brother started a little food handout place here at lunch, here at Sacred Heart. I think we could give hot coffee, that was it. Coffee and sandwiches. There must be 80 to 90 churches and synagogues that have gotten together through the Ministry of Caring to unite and take certain days of the month to supply a meal, a hot meal. They cook it, they deliver it, and to get that much cooperation is just remarkable.
You wanted to help them, but you wanted them also to be interested in helping themselves. And you had to point out to them, if you don't make moves, we can't make moves. Whatever they had, we tried to get them to use it.
People who had been on the shelters before, then they have their own apartments and they have their own job and they have everything. Because they receive love, so now they can give it to others. They receive hope, now they can give it to others, which is wonderful. And they receive encouragement from the people, and they can give it to others. That's wonderful.
It's amazing now how whatever Brother Ronald gets on his slate to do, it comes. We take it for granted it will come.
He started what is now this huge organization of the Ministry of Caring with an 8-bed shelter for women because he knew that that was an unmet need. And I believe that that's what continues to drive him, that he always asks the question, what's the unmet need? Where are the poor either underserved or not being served?
When I think about the ministry 11, 12 years ago, it's a much smaller operation. We had no idea of where we were headed. But you can see how he has branched out. He started with one woman who needed help. And then it went into the Emmanuel dining rooms, the House of Joseph for Men. And then they found they needed a job placement center. They need jobs. And then you had the women with children. How can they go on an interview and get a job? What do they do with their children? So then he started the child care center and now has 2 child care centers. Well, now they need dental assistance, so he got a dental clinic.
Jim Teoli, Mary Teoli were 2 of the prime ones in the beginning. Jim was a manager of a food store, and he allowed Brother Ronald to come into the store, Hearn's grocery store, with a shopping cart, fill it up, and whiz right by the checkout counter without any payment. Jim had put it on his tab, so he did that for years. Other people did too. Brother, in his wonderful way, pulled out more miracles. He became acquainted with Charlie Cawley of MBNA. He arranged for Charlie and his wife Julie to become members of our board of directors, and they've been excellent. And the miracles continue to happen.
There's a lot of wonderful people out there and a lot of unsung heroes, a lot of people who do the nitty-gritty.
My life has been changed, and I'll be forever grateful for the opportunity I had to serve here.
When I first started, I was a little skeptical about the homeless. And my first thought was, well, haven't they made their own bed to lie in? Drugs, alcohol, so on and so forth. Yes, there is some of that, but that is not the true picture. I mean, there are just so many women that were involved in bad marriages and had no place to turn, and women with children, and now I understand even men with children, brothers trying to provide for them.
I beg people not to be judgmental, not to think they know why people are homeless. And if they had had the opportunities that many of us have had, they would have made the same use of those opportunities. The Ministry of Caring is a place to give people opportunities. You know, we say a hand up, not a hand out.
You never win them all, but we win a lot of them. Some may not make it the first time around. There always something good happens to them while they're with us, even if they don't go out and get a job.
Was a family came up from North Carolina, and the mother had 4 kids. The father had already been here. The mother didn't have no place to live. And so someone said, well, they have a shelter for women and children. So the lady came in there, she had no shoes on her feet. I said, well, we got the distribution center, well, maybe they'll just send her over there to the center. So we sent her upstairs for an interview. And she was at the shelter, I think, maybe 30 days. And then she got herself together. And I got a letter from her the other day. She said, I am doing well, my children are doing well.
Well, it's something that seems to be lacking in our world. It's love of others, love of neighbor, the basic commandment. Love is not just wrapping your arms around somebody and hugging them and patting them on the back. Love is doing something for them if they need something.
Brother Ronald will continue to go forward because there are still poor people. There are hungry people. There are people in substandard housing. There are people that are being abused. There are people who are addicted. There are people who need help. He's not going to stop, but he can't do it alone.